The French Revolution began in 1789 and lasted until 1794. The current leader, King Louis, needed more money but had failed to raise more taxes when he had called a meeting of the Estates General. This set turned into a protest about conditions in France. On July 14th, 1789, the Paris mob, upset at the conditions of their lives, and annoyed with their king, stormed the Bastille fortress. He tried to flee but was stopped and forced to agree to a new form of government. Instead of the king having power, a legislative assembly governed and was then replaced by the National Convention. The Republic of France was declared, and Louis was the first leader to have a public execution. The French Revolution was successful to a moderate extent as they had achieved great things, such as gainer of social classes and first setting up how Europe is one today. But during those achievements, there were also chaotic killings of more than 40,000 men and women, which is why it is a moderate success. One of the major problems of the French society was the split of social classes. There were three. The first estate, known as the richest, also known as the clergy. Second estate, who were rich nobles and were exempt from taxes. And lastly, the third estate, who were the poorest and had no power. Since the rising middle class did not fit into the neat divisions of the three estates, they were considered to be equal with the third estate, the poorest. The middle class grew in size and wealth, but never gained rights or respect that their wealth deserved. This caused anger and tension in French society as peasants and middle-class French people began to hate the nobles and aristocrats. This led to reforms of the government and mainly King Louis for abusing the lower classes as raising their taxes but not giving them the credit and wealth that they deserved for carrying the country. Once Louis unwillingly signed the Constitution after all the revolts, it limited the power of the monarchy and helped the lower classes gain rights and power for themselves to be equal to everyone else. This shows that the French Revolution was a moderate success as the citizens have successfully limited the thought of the absolute monarch and have given the power to the people by creating a constitution in which there is equality between citizens. This clearly shows that the French Revolution was moderately successful as they had achieved a great milestone that would help set up the country for success along with building how things are run today. Another reason why the French Revolution is a moderate success is because it helped shape current Europe. The Revolution unified France and enhanced the power of the national state. The Revolution tore down the ancient structure of Europe and hastened the advent of nationalism. It also put equality of citizens before the law, equality of languages, and allowed for freedom of thought and faith. These beliefs are still used today as the citizens are similar to the U.S. as being able to express their thoughts and to be equal no matter what they look like or what race they are. Along with all of that, most importantly, the country still is a constitutional government, which limits the power of Emmanuel Macron and allows for more thought and power for the citizens so that they can't fall back to what they were before of a monarchy. This shows that the French Revolution was moderately successful, as the revolution helped unify the country along with making the Constitution more popular, which then spread to other countries, helping create Europe as successful as it is today. This clearly shows that the French Revolution was moderately successful, as a form of government that was adapted during the past is still used today, as going to other countries, becoming more popular. Therefore, that is a success. One reason that makes the revolution a moderate success and not a full success is because of the stain in history it leaves. Notorious for one of the bloodiest periods in modern civilization, the Committee of Public Safety was a quiet secret. There was a group called the Committee of Public Safety that was a quiet secret group that worked with the government to basically kill all people that were not fans of the new revolution. This led to the group and the leader Robespierre to kill around more than 17,000 people that they believed to be enemies in France, by beheading them, also known as a guillotine. Now, at the beginning of the revolution, there was also a bloody instance known as the storming of the Bastille, like I said before in the intro. Citizens were killed, but even worse, the heads of the people were placed on top of stakes, waved around the city, and also bodies were just hung to walls, which is just very gruesome. This shows why the revolution was only a moderate success, as I take any killing as a bad thing, and I don't believe that the committed killings are justified just because they were not fans of the revolution. Along with that, during the Reign of Terror, it is said that 50,000 people were killed for suspected counter-revolutionary activity. That is a tragedy and did not help the nationalism of the country grow. This shows why the success was only moderate, as the Reign of Terror era is known as one of the remorseful and depressing periods of time because of the brutalism that could happen to anyone at any time, which is why it lowered the success of the revolution. In conclusion, the French Revolution was only a moderate success because of the problems and achievements that the country solved, such as equality and for successfully setting up current life in Europe. But it was not a full success because of the stain it marks in history as one of the bloodiest periods, with the killing of 40,000 men and women. Also, to prove my point of the lower class being treated wrong, there's a drawing or painting that shows the lower classes carrying the upper class, but I couldn't find the author, so yeah.